Imagine a world with no Netflix, no phones, and no comfortable mattress waiting for you at night. That was reality for nearly all of human history, until just the last 100 years or so. Tonight, when you crawl into bed, you are doing something surprisingly modern. So how did ancient humans actually sleep? There was no single ancient way to sleep. It changed by climate, culture, and century. But some patterns show up again and again, all across the world. Let's start at the very beginning, the Stone Age, tens of thousands of years ago. Early humans slept in caves, rock shelters, or simple huts made from branches and animal skins. A fire burned at the entrance all night long, doing two important jobs. That fire kept bodies warm through cold nights, and it kept hungry predators away. Wolves, lions, and hyenas simply did not like the light of open flames. Groups slept close together, often curled in a circle around the fire. Sleeping in a group was not just cozy, it was actual survival for early humans. More bodies meant more warmth, and more eyes and ears to notice danger. Someone in the group was almost always half awake, quietly listening for trouble. Archaeologists have even found bedding from over 200,000 years ago. It was made of layers of grass, ash, and leaves, built like a mattress. The ash in that bedding actually helped repel biting insects at night. Early humans were already engineering comfort, long before soft pillows ever existed. Here's something that might surprise you about how our ancestors slept at night. For centuries, many people did not sleep in one long, unbroken block. Instead, they slept in two shifts, called first sleep and second sleep. People went to bed shortly after dark, then slept for a few hours. Then they would wake up in the middle of the night, wide awake. This waking period in the dark could last 1 or 2 full hours. People used this quiet time to pray, talk softly, or tend the fire. Then they would lie back down for second sleep until morning arrived. Historians found this pattern in old letters, court records, and old literature. Without electric light, winter nights stretched long, sometimes lasting 14 hours total. Sleeping straight through simply wasn't necessary, or even fully natural back then. The body simply woke up in the middle, rested, and ready for pause. Privacy at night is actually a fairly modern luxury most of us enjoy. For most of history, people slept in the same room as their family. Parents, children, grandparents, even farm animals, often shared one single warm space. Sharing a bed wasn't only about closeness, body heat was the cheapest heating. In cold climates, whole households piled under one blanket, curled together tightly. Now let's travel back to ancient Egypt, where wealthy people slept on raised wooden beds. But their pillows might genuinely shock you compared to what we use today. Instead of soft cushions, many Egyptians rested their heads on curved headrests. These headrests were carved from wood or stone, not soft material at all. Why sleep on wood? It kept elaborate hairstyles from getting smudged overnight. It also kept the head cool in the hot, dry desert climate. Headrests lifted sleepers away from crawling insects and scorpions on the ground. Some headrests were carved with protective gods to guard the sleeper's spirit. To the Egyptians, sleep was truly seen as a doorway into the divine. The ancient Greeks and Romans used low, simple beds called a klein. These beds were often topped with mattresses stuffed with plain sheep's wool. Wealthy Romans could afford soft feathers and fine, delicate linens for their beds. Poorer citizens made do with straw-filled sacks laid on simple wooden frames. Roman writers described entire households sleeping together, all in one shared room. Slaves often slept just outside their master's door, ready to be called. In ancient China, sleep was closely connected to philosophy and traditional medicine. Healers taught that each organ had its own peak hour during the night. Sleeping at the wrong time could throw the whole body out of balance. Wealthy households used carved wooden platform beds enclosed by soft privacy curtains. Common people slept on simple mats laid over a heated platform called a kong. A connected stove warmed the platform from underneath, an ancient underfloor heating system. In ancient India, Ayurvedic medicine also placed huge importance on regular sleep timing. Texts recommended waking before sunrise, aligning the body closely with nature's own rhythm. Simple woven cots called charpai were common, using ropes strung across a wooden frame. These beds allowed air to flow freely underneath, keeping sleepers cool in the heat. Across the Americas, many indigenous peoples slept in hammocks instead of flat beds. Hammocks were woven from plant fibers and slung between two sturdy trees. They lifted sleepers off the damp ground, away from insects, snakes, and floods. Hammocks also swayed gently, letting air flow underneath to keep sleepers cool. European sailors were so impressed, they adopted swinging hammocks for their ships. Further north, Vikings slept together in long, communal wooden halls called longhouses. A central fire pit ran down the middle for warmth and cooking. Raised wooden platforms along the walls served as beds, covered in furs. Extended families, guests, and sometimes livestock shared these halls through dark winters. Thick bear and sheep furs insulated sleepers against the brutal Scandinavian cold. Let's take a quick detour to traditional Japan, where sleep looked quite different. Instead of raised bed frames, many households used a padded mat called a futon. The futon was rolled out directly onto woven straw floor mats called tatami each night. During the day, the futon was folded up and stored away inside a closet. This let one small room serve as a bedroom, living room, and dining space. A wooden pillow called a takamakura supported the neck instead of a soft cushion. It protected elaborate hairstyles, much like the headrests used in ancient Egypt. Across nearly every ancient culture, sleep was seen as more than physical rest. Many believed dreams carried real messages from gods, ancestors, or wandering spirits. Worried people sometimes consulted priests to help interpret their strange, troubling dreams. Temples were even built for dream incubation, where people slept for guidance. People hoped the gods would visit them with guidance during the night. Many ancient cultures also held strong superstitions about the exact position of sleep. Sleeping with feet facing a doorway was considered bad luck in several traditions. Some believed it too closely resembled how the dead were carried out for burial. Small rituals, charms, or prayers were often performed before finally settling down to sleep. Fast forward now to medieval Europe, where beds became a symbol of wealth. Most peasants slept on mattresses stuffed with straw, laid directly on the floor. These mattresses were often shared with siblings, and sometimes with farm animals too. Wealthier families owned real bed frames, piled high with straw or feathers. But there was a hidden problem: bedbugs, fleas, and lice loved straw bedding. Itching and scratching through the night was simply considered completely normal then. Travelers at medieval inns actually had it even stranger than most people. Strangers often shared the very same bed with people they had never met. Sometimes 3 or 4 travelers squeezed onto one mattress just to save money. Most people throughout history did not own special pajamas just for sleeping. They often slept in the same simple tunic or shift worn during the day. Wealthier people sometimes wore a long nightshirt and a wool cap called a nightcap. That nightcap kept the head warm through cold, drafty nights without central heating. Over in colonial America, most families lived and slept in one single small room. Rope beds were common, with a lattice of ropes supporting a straw-filled mattress. Those ropes stretched loose over time and needed regular tightening with a wooden tool. This is actually where the old phrase, "sleep tight," most likely came from. Children often slept on trundle beds, small frames that slid neatly under the parent's bed. Servants and enslaved people were frequently forced to sleep in kitchens, hallways, or barns. By the 1800s, Many rural families still slept on frames covered in sheep hides. The thick wool provided real insulation against cold nights before central heating existed. Feather beds slowly became more common among the middle and upper classes. But servants in wealthy households often slept on thin mats in hallways. Some servants even slept on the floor just outside their employer's bedroom door. Sleeping safely was never fully guaranteed, especially where large predators still roamed. In some regions, people built elevated sleeping platforms high up in trees. Others built platforms on tall stilts, lifting themselves above wandering animals below. Some hunter-gatherer groups studied by anthropologists today still build these raised platforms. This likely echoes methods stretching back tens of thousands of years earlier. Without alarm clocks, roosters, church bells, or simply the rising sun woke most people. Some towns even employed a knocker-upper, a person paid to tap on windows at dawn. They used long poles or pea shooters to wake workers in time for early shifts. Before electric light existed, the sun completely ruled the daily sleep schedule. When it got dark outside, all activity naturally slowed down for the night. Firelight was warm, dim, and flickering, nothing like a bright modern phone screen. Ancient bodies produced sleep hormones earlier in the evening than ours do now. Morning sunlight then helped reset their internal clock for the following day. Their sleep, though broken into segments, stayed deeply tied to day and night. Everything changed dramatically with the arrival of the Industrial Revolution and its machines. Gas lamps, and later electric lighting, let people stay awake long after sunset. Factories ran through the night, and workers needed much tighter sleep schedules. Segmented sleep slowly disappeared as this new rigid schedule took over completely. Doctors began pushing the idea of one solid, unbroken 8-hour sleep block. This became the pattern most of us now simply consider completely normal. Historians believe this entire shift took less than a century to spread. Not every culture fully abandoned resting during the middle of the day. In many Mediterranean and Latin American regions, the midday nap remained important. This tradition, the siesta, made sense in hot climates during peak heat. Napping wasn't laziness, it was a practical response to climate and rhythm. Most human bodies naturally feel a dip in alertness during early afternoon. Putting children to sleep also had its own long, rich history worldwide. Parents hummed lullabies, simple repetitive songs meant to soothe babies into rest. Many cultures rocked infants in cradles, baskets, or slings tied to a parent's back. The gentle rocking motion mimicked movement babies felt constantly before they were even born. So how does all of this compare to how we sleep today? Modern humans sleep on soft mattresses, inside private rooms, under electric light. We can silence the entire outside world, something ancient humans never truly had. But research suggests something interesting still connects us to our distant ancestors. Many people today still briefly wake up in the middle of the night. We often panic and call this insomnia, worrying something is seriously wrong. But it might just be an old, natural pattern quietly resurfacing again. Ancient humans didn't actually sleep worse than we do, just very differently. Their sleep was shaped by fire, safety, close family, and the sun. Understanding their habits reminds us that normal sleep has changed many times. And it will very likely keep on changing again in the future too. So tonight, as you sink into your own soft, comfortable mattress and blanket, just remember, you're doing something your distant ancestors would find truly unimaginable comfort.